I'm standing here on behalf of the NVP, which is the Dutch Association of Personnel Management and Organizational Development. It's good to see some familiar faces in the room, and it's a pleasure speaking to you this morning. I'm going to take you through an agenda. I think the key topic, of course, will be in the Q&A. I think you probably have some questions when I finished my presentation, but we will do that together, I understand. So I'm going to discuss with you the strategic HR issues here today and board dynamics. I give a short introduction of myself, you know, what I've done in my career and how I've appreciated the NVP in my career. I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about what the NVP is. The key thing is the topic is about the HR non-executive director program, which we have developed with Hemingway. I'm going to share with you some insight and learnings around that program. So it's really about the strategic positioning of HR to the board, and I guess many of you, of course, are engaged with your business leaders, and this is on the top level. And for well-being in the organization, of course, it's key that we have top people in that level. So I'll read out a quote here, which I wrote. Executive boards needs to know that their organization needs to know their own organization much better nowadays. Tighter corporate governance and compliance leads to high demand on non-executive directors to be better prepared for critical people and HR matters, bringing new opportunities and high risks for their organizations. Non-executive directors and boards need to spend much more time with their HR executives to be able to understand how to prepare their organizations for unprecedented changes in the years to come. And Atos just gave a very good example of all the changes which are coming there. Digital transformation around big data, IoT, security, places on displacing or changes nature of jobs. We have a much more dispersed workforce now in our companies. HR executives need to be ready and invest in their own development and learning in how to work with non-executive directors and board dynamics, as they will be much more exposed and involved. So the Dutch Association has developed such a program with Hemingway, and I will share that experience and key learnings with you today. So quickly about myself, I studied international affairs, political science in Amsterdam. After my political career, I changed to HR as a temping consultant, then went to a recruitment agency, and then I went to Deloitte. And within Deloitte, I became an international recruiter, and then a recruitment manager, a recruitment director for whole EMEA. And I'm an expat kid myself. Then I became involved in expat management, so mobility. And my last role was the global director mobility. During that my time, I was heavily involved in the HR association, the Dutch CIPD, the NVP. And I did all kinds of board positions since there, and I learned a lot, you know, just by being active, you know, in something outside your work, building your network, and it was a great learning. If you want to see a video of my experience, you can Google my name and NVP, and then you will find a video I did with Wim Kooijman, past HR director of KLM, as an example. Currently, I'm one of the partners within Amrop Executive Search, and I work internationally on search assignments, some of them being HR, but other ones being technology. So who has heard here of the NVP? Who is a member? Okay, a couple. All right, great. So you can Google, I think, the NVP, but in general, it's a non-profit organization which brings together the HR people within the Netherlands. It's organized in different chapters, and it's organized around specific groups. It's been around for more than 40 years, 50 years. Yeah, we have all regional meetings where you can get together. We do a lot around education, seminars and publications. We do HR vacancies. Yeah, we also have developed specific codes. One is the HR code, another one is the recruitment code. And we have, like in the UK, which has the CIPD, we have developed the Chief HR professional certification program to really help to develop the HR function. It also has an international orientation. It's a member of the EAPM, the European Association of Personnel Management, and it also has an advisory board with key leaders, being Arcadis, AkzoNobel, ING, KPMG, NS, KLM, etc. If you want to be active in this association, become active in the chapters or in recruitment or in learning, please send an email to me. I'm happy to bring you in contact with the organization. You can Google my email, it's probably there on the net. All right, let's talk about the program which we developed, which is about strategic HR and board dynamics. What I said, you know, the relevance for commissarissen, non-executive directors, to know much more their organization is a key background to this program. They need to be prepared much more on people matters and people well-being, especially around the governance and compliance. They have to be much more involved due to the transformation changes which are happening there. We developed this program also for chief HROs to really share their experience and to collaborate with non-executive directors. Some of them do, but some don't, and it's really an excellent way of creating a connection between the two. So two targets for the program: develop the capabilities to become a non-executive director as an HR professional. So you are on a board and you are one of the key specialists on HR matters, and also develop something from the association regarding the top program. I show you who were part of that. These are a couple of brands. Not all of them are there, but these are the most well-known brands who took part of this program. We did two programs, one in 2015, one in 2016, and we will start a program next month, the 30th of June, which is an invite-only program. Key topics which were discussed. I don't know if you are an HR business partner or an HR director, you will run into issues around the remuneration committees within boards in big corporate organization. There's a nomination committee. If the CEO is up for a new term or the CFO is up for a new term, there's a nomination committee where they will look at internal candidates, external candidates, and discuss succession. So it's all around succession management, actually. And nowadays you see in those kind of committees mostly CFOs, not ex-CFOs, no HR people. Some HR directors get called in these kind of situations. And of course, this is such a critical HR matter. You know, why is not the HR function much more involved in these kind of elements? You know, succession planning. Well, it's our profession, and we know how that works best. Performance review of the CEO. Non-executive directors do review the subordinates of the CEO, and it's another key HR matter. And of course, strategy development and managing change, a new generation, digitization, all kinds of elements which have such an HR strong element in there. You really need HR specialization at the top of your organization. Key learnings. Interesting thing. So if you bring a group of 15 HR directors together and you put their non-executive directors, chairmen of the boards, commissarissen of president-commissarissen, you put them in the room together, it has a much wider impact. One of the chairmen of a couple of Dutch big corporates in the second session said, wow, I should actually talk much more to the HR director of the organization. I'm not talking enough to her or him. So you see actually a realization at the top that they really need to actually ask for insight from you, about the way the organization should be going. Because I think we don't realize, but the chairman of the board is the employer of the whole organization. He is or she is the boss of the organization. He or she can fire the CEO. And so it's a critical role, and that person should really talk to HR. There is limited knowledge of what's happening in the board with HR leaders. They're working so hard, with their people, and people matters, and they should actually also be more involved and also get more exposure to the board. And you see that also more happening, that they are called in to give a presentation on people matters. You see also that there's much more involvement of regulators in sending away CEOs and CFOs. And it, of course, this has a huge impact on the culture of the organization. If the CEO gets fired, which you saw with one of the insurance companies the other day of the CFOs, it has a huge impact on the organization, and HR should be involved. Realizing that the remuneration is becoming too complex. Remuneration, is a lot of discussion around that and about the bonuses. And again, I think talking to HR, they can get real good insight in building and developing the right culture. There's also an opportunity to influence the board nomination, but it's limited because it's typically 2 times 4 a year. But for HR people who want to become a board member themselves, it's good to realize, what this role is about. So it was really helping also the HR leaders to become potential new non-executive directors. I think it's a key other element, of course, is you see a lot of CEOs, CFOs, which are getting selected and nominated. They come from outside, and it's important that there is a thorough process, in who to assign from an executive search agency, and do a thorough process to make sure you get the right profiles in, and it's not, through the old boys network as in the past. Because of the complexity of our business, you really see there's a high need for either industry specialization or bringing in new industry knowledge because of the digitization and transformation of organizations. So, and that's a key element. The other elements, key learning which came out of the session was, if you want to become a non-executive director as an HR leader, you really need to think, why you want to do that. We had one HR director, chief HRO, said, no, I'm not going to become a non-executive director. I don't like it. It's too much compliance, too much, responsibility. I don't want to do it. So that's fair enough as well. But if you want to become in the future a non-executive director, you should also realize you will not only be appointed because of your HR skills. You need to have a broader profile. You need to understand financials, but you also need to understand organizational elements. Well, I know many of you who are involved in HR, you very much also focus on HR facts and financials and costs. So you bring a lot of more value than only the HR matters. You see also that boards are getting much more involved in developing their supervisory roles. So these are a couple of key learnings, and it is a real pleasure to share these with you and more insights during our discussion. And what you see is that the HR profession is really being positioned at the top. We see in the Dutch market good examples, KPMG and Deloitte Both have chief HROs appointed by the board. There are independent selections done by the board and not by the local management. So HR directors are really positioned at the top. Janine Vos was hired last year to Rabobank from KPN and is also in the executive committee. So you see a lot of key HR people really becoming strategic in their organization, which is great. And we would love to see those kind of developments continuing. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the Q&A.